Today we're going to look at how to make a quick and easy one pocket fold over card wallet. My name is Ryan and this is Auto Branch Homestead, and this is a perfect quick and easy project. You don't need any skills, just a little bit of leather, thread and needle. I'll show you how to make the pattern in a couple of seconds, and that's all there is to it. So here's the wallet that we're going to be making. Get a little bit better look at it. Got a squarish, rectangular, squarish back. We got a front, a little bit of a cut, so it's a little bit easier to get at your cards. A little bit of stitching, edge slicking, that kind of stuff. It's pretty simple to make. And believe it or not, this can hold, of course, one card, but you can actually fit a couple of cards in here, which is pretty handy if you want just something nice, small, easy to make, easy to fit in your pocket. Makes a good gift, that sort of thing. I will say if you don't slick the interior, that it does make it a little bit trickier to pull your cards out, but that's not necessarily a big deal. There's a pretty simple pattern that we got here, and don't mind the 2, that's just my draft number, so when I'm iterating through, and actually this is a good tip, if you're making multiple versions of a pattern as you're hammering it out, it can be useful to number them, because sometimes I think a pattern is close enough and I'll actually make one instead of just having it out of paper, and I want to know which pattern is which. So that's what that 2 is. And it's pretty simple. It's just a rectangle, and this side is 3 7/8. If you didn't know, that's the decimal for 7/8. So 3 7/8 there, and 5 1/8 here for the width. And you may notice that there's a dotted line here for our diagonal cut. And I'm actually not going to tell you what that distance is. I actually don't know the distance because we'll actually figure it out really easy when we are punching the stitches, believe it or not, for our wallet, because we want this last stitch just to be perfectly split between there. And depending on how you stitch it, the width of your irons, all that kind of stuff, that could differ. So it's actually really easy to get, and I'll show you how to do it. There we have our cut out leather wallet. Now at this point you have a couple of options. You could now glue this in half, but makes cutting out that cutout a little bit trickier. Unless you already know where it's going to be, you could just arbitrarily pick where you're going to cut that. But also you might not have glue or brushes or a rougher or anything like that, so you don't actually have to do that. And in fact, what we're going to be doing instead is we're going to be using binder clips. So now what you want to do is line up the long edge of your wallet, and if you went over with your tracing for your pattern, make sure that whatever is worse is on the bottom side, or on the part we're going to cut off. But all we got to do is just line up our bottom and that side and just put a couple of binder clips. Don't put them too close to this bottom corner, whatever bottom corner you have, and don't put any on this side, and I'll show you why in just a second. But all we need to do is just get this lined up as best we can on this side and this side. And if it's not perfect, not a big deal. We'll just sand those flush in a minute, but as close as you can. Now that we've got this all pinned up, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to put a radius on my corner. And there's 2 ways you can do this. You could do it with a 1/4 round punch, or we can actually do this with a guide like this. And actually I'm going to do it like that. So we'll just pop off one of our binder clips. And, ooh, is that little one going to fit in there? We will just do the bigger one. So, and also one of these squares makes it a little bit easier to line up, and just double check things haven't shifted because you took off the binder clip. Line that all up and take our slices off for our corner. All right, so now we'll pop our binder clip back on. And now what we want to do is we want to get our divider ready. And I've got mine at 5 millimeters. That's what I use for all of my projects. And we just want to start scribing a line where we're going to be stitching. So there's our corner. And that's why we left off the binder clip on the bottom. So now we just need to start punching our holes. And I actually like to start in the corner with a 2-hole punch. So that way I can align, I don't know how well you can see that on the camera, but I want my corner, these are diagonal punches, and I want the quarter one to be cutting across the corner. So with that, make sure you're going the right direction. If I do it this way, it'll be diagonal this way. If I do it from this direction, it will be the right diagonal. And double check your set. These can actually be either direction. There's our first hole. And then we can mark out our second one from there. And now we just need to start working back this way. That's all looking perfect. So now I've come about as close as I want to get to the folded edge. And now we are just going to shuffle our binder clips along. Before I get too carried away, we want to actually mark our stitch line. You can go all the way up, but obviously we're going to cut all that off. Let me actually do that a little bit darker so I can actually see it. We're probably going to go to about there. And this is all personal preference. Let's take a look at where we got to on that one. Just a couple more. And for those that are really curious about how deep that was cut, that is, looks like in between 1 1/8 and 1 1/4 inches deep. But the way we're going to do this is you don't actually need to do that at all. So what I want to do is I want to be able to split those 2 stitches in half so that our wrap over, or not a wrap over, our over the edge stitch is that one there. So all I need to do is essentially just draw a line right here for where I want to cut. And then we can cut our cut. And as simple as that, now we have our perfect cut. And if you want to go back to your pattern and mark that out for next time, you can totally do this. And you can do this on either side. So you can, and as you can see, that's actually slightly different. Looks like I punched it just a little bit lower. But you can punch this on either side. So this wallet is going to have a cutout on the a cutout on that side, and this one will have it on this side. And that's all there is to getting a perfect cut like that. Now all we need to do is start prepping some of these edges. These ones will be a little bit tricky to get into after we've stitched up. And before I get too carried away, I'm actually going to come through and round over that other top corner as well. All right, there is our sewn up wallet. So now all we have to do is sand down these edges so they're nice and flush and slick them up. And we'll be just about done. So there we are, our finished wallet. This is still a little wet, so that'll even up between the part we just did and the upper bit. And there it is. Let's see if it works with the card and get some of that leather dust off of there. And there it is, a nice card wallet. Another thing you can do to help break in your wallet is just run it through with a bone folder. And this actually works really great if you glued your stitch line, because there's always going to be a little bit of glue that went past your stitches, and this works really good to just get down in all of those corners. That's all there is to it. You can throw some top coat on here. I'll probably just throw a little bit of neat's foot oil in here. I'm not going to be running around in the rain with this, so it doesn't need to be super heavy duty. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.